Welcome back, everyone, on the journey to transform culture. I'm Steve, and I'll be your guide. Well, team, today let's talk a little bit about something a little more serious. I guess in the realm of capabilities, right? One of the things that kind of dawned on me, of course, reviewing back over my many years of helping organizations improve their performance and then improve their culture, is a bit of a cognitive dissonance between our desire to be a thing, to be transformed, to be, to get to that new place, but also, I guess you could say, a lack of desire to acknowledge our capabilities or incapabilities, if you want to put it in that light, right? So I think of it this way. When I was a kid, I was 120 pounds in the fourth grade. I was no little person, right? And I was pretty self conscious about my weight. But as I grew and I got into sports and started to do other things, I began to, outrun, I guess you could say, the issues that I had with being a bit of a heavier kid. But that being said, I use weight loss because it tends to be that thing that throughout our lives, we go through these cycles. Throughout our lives, we go through these cycles, right? And of fitness and health and things that we do to maintain our health and to improve, who we are, really. We might go through cycles where we're, voraciously reading and learning and trying to improve upon one thing or another. It could be professionally, it could be personally, right? It could be self help, go through a self help phase where you're trying to figure things out. But one of the things I noticed improving organizations is much the same way when I think of when I've gone through moments and phases of my life when it's like, well, I got to get into shape, got to lose a few pounds, got to, all these things. There's the desire to want to get better, right? In this case, I want to get in shape. I want to lose a little bit of weight. I want to get more active and fit. But then there's also this nagging side of a person, probably the inner gravity, I guess you could say, of not wanting to do the thing that's going to improve upon your fitness and your health, right? So I want to keep eating the donuts, or I want to keep indulging in the this or the that, but I still want to become fit. And sadly, I say sadly, it's a good thing, but it's also kind of a negative thing, right? Medical science has helped folks to achieve, especially where it's, a dire medical situation, to help folks. And that's, great, But for those of us who are on the journey already of staying fit or trying to maintain or manage our health, there's this desire to want to be a bit more healthy and more fit. But there's also this, lure of the donut or lure of the this or the that or whatever it is, right? No different when we're trying to improve our organizations. I've come across leaders who want to improve, but gosh, they just don't want to deal with or go into that arena of recognizing the shadow of incapability within themselves. And I guess it would be similar if you had a health condition that you knew that you needed to get treated or needed to be addressed, but you just refused to do so because your pride and ego didn't want to acknowledge a certain fact or to put up with a certain realization. And as difficult as that, that tributary can be, a little less so dire in an organization where you're trying to be a good leader, you're trying to be a good steward of resources, a provider for your folks, for your team, good leader, good mentor, good trainer, good all of these things. But at the same time, to be lacking in a particular area. And one area I will speak about is an area I'm familiar with, which is improvement. And I think because so many leaders think, well, I'm a leader, therefore I am automatically skilled in the ability to improve my organization. Unless you are skilled in that prior to becoming a leader, You are not. You are not. You're absolutely not. The same way that Tiger Woods had a coach, right, that is skilled in getting Tiger Woods to play, hit, his accuracy, his length, his this, his that, his control, X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3. Does that mean that the coach is Tiger Woods? No, not at all. But that coach knows what it takes to get Tiger to be Tiger's best. And this is where we really have to take the jacket of ego and pride off and just throw that thing right into the fire and burn it up. You have got to come to terms with some simple facts. If you are not skilled in building teams and or improving your organization, but you are the leader, there is no shame in this fact. You are leading this organization. There's no shame to acknowledge that you're not skilled in what it takes to make your team better. You didn't just fall off the truck, you know what I mean, able to do these things. Some people are talented, they have skills, they have talents, God-given and otherwise, skills and abilities to be able to build teams and to build the cohesion and all of that. But it is a difficult thing, no easy thing, to build the cohesion of a team and also know the mechanics of improving functionally your organization. And an example I might give is an engineer, right? And I'm using the extreme version. I don't want to overgeneralize, but there are a great many engineers that do amazing work, absolutely amazing, to create, develop, to improvise, or to innovate solutions. But yet still, if they were put in the role of synergizing a team, they are not skilled in this arena. They just do not have that skill set. They do not have that innately within them. And now I'm generalizing to show a point. Obviously, there are exceptions to everything, right? And to say that is there are many organizations who have leaders that do embody the ability to be able to do these things. But by and large, it is not the majority. And so for an organizational leader to think, well, somebody who is skilled in that, you can't be great at everything, right? That's a mantra you might hear from someone. But where does that come from? Where does the mantra of you don't know everything, you don't have the ability to do this or to do that? Who knows? How do you know somebody doesn't have the ability to do a thing or to not do a thing? You might have a brand new employee that is fully successful in running their own business that just needs a little work in the in-between that comes into your organization that could absolutely turn your organization around. So let me ask you this. What do you do with that individual when you discover that they have these knowledge, skills, and abilities? Do you turn them out and eject them off of your team, or do you incorporate them into your resolve to improve your organization, to build the synergy of your team? Hopefully, you incorporate them into that. But what does human nature typically do? Well, my pride and ego cannot reconcile the fact that I just hired someone entry level who just wanted a little work on the side. I'm giving an example, but that has the knowledge, skills, and abilities to absolutely turn my organization around to improve it, right? Our pride and ego cannot reconcile such things, yet these things happen often. These occurrences happen more often than is known. And it isn't just by the leaders, the upper echelon. It's also by the middle management and other team members, right? Oh, God forbid that a new person is going to help us. We'll make sure that doesn't happen. And do you see where this energy goes? This is part of the reason you have a problem to begin with. Everybody has been hardwired or conditioned through the course of not being able to break the membrane of being successful, which is owning your dark and ugly stuff to be able to then move forward. The team members have not been able to do this at every level, right? Now have to acknowledge that there's somebody in their midst that has done this before. What do you think happens? Well, I'm going to tell you exactly what happens. It's just like the show Survivor Island. Whoever provides the food, whoever provides the resources and sound leadership are quickly ejected by the group. Why is that? We can't have somebody upsetting the normal apple cart of our victimhood. We can't have that. So therefore, we must react to it. It's the tall poppy syndrome. We can't have somebody elevating themselves because they have a knowledge, skill, or ability that's going to help us or our customers. We just can't have that, right? So, what am I saying? I'm saying you got to look very hard in the mirror. You got to wipe that fog off that mirror, whether it be in your bathroom or otherwise, and look deeply into your own image. And you have to reconcile your pride and ego out of the way and acknowledge that you're going to have to find someone, and I don't necessarily mean some corporate structured resolution to your problem. There are plenty of gifted and talented people out there that can help solve your problems. And keep in mind, this isn't something of an obfuscation or something where you're pushing your problems off onto someone else. It is strictly acknowledging, hey, I need help with a thing, right? So I'll give you an example. My daughter's a nurse. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nurse, right? But if I have got a medical or a health question, who do you think I tap? I tap my daughter, who's a nurse, right? I don't think, oh, she's my daughter and she's significantly younger. And I don't start judging on all the basis that we see in the professional world that happens constantly. I don't do that. That is called bias. That's a disease, by the way. Bias is a disease, and it's a disease we have to mentally conquer every day we wake up and before we go to bed every night, because your bias is absolutely preventing you from getting over yourself so you can heal yourself so you can grow your team. Do you understand that? And if you don't understand that, let that sear into your mindset. If my health is in question in any matter, I have no problem asking my daughter, hey, what do you think about this? This is what I'm seeing and hearing and blah, blah, blah. XYZ123, what do you think? Because I value her contribution to be a problem solver in this arena that I am no expert in. Now, I'm an expert over what I need to actually do for myself once I have the knowledge and that advice that she gives me. I have to make the ultimate call, and that's what a leader needs to do: is make an informed decision, make informed, logical, data informed decisions, and you should be imbibing that requirement into the people who work for you so that emotion, we're not devaluing emotion. That's legitimate when it becomes through certain elements of your organization and the people that you care about and who you're providing for. No way are we lightening the load and the importance in that arena. But we are saying data informed decision making, okay? And don't let your pride and ego. There's a great line in Pulp Fiction, which I won't repeat because it's off color, but it's pride, right? Kicking your tail, basically. When you're unable to remove your bias, to be able to see the solutions, or at least to arrive at them, by eliminating the bias in your way, and to understand that you aren't capable is not is there is no sin, there is no infraction to understand and to own that you're incapable of doing a certain thing. This is why we have consultants and coaches and mentors and all these other things to begin with. That whole concept didn't just come to reality a day or a year ago. This has been forever ago, right? This is throughout all of human existence. There have been great people and unheard of people in the history books who have been advisors to those people who ended up being great leaders. And their stories aren't often told, but they're there if you do the digging. So I come back to this. Don't let your pride and your ego get in the way of your desire to improve because you're not strong in a particular area. Turn your incapability into a vulnerability, which then becomes a strength. Do you understand that? When you are most strong when you acknowledge your vulnerability or your inabilities, because then you're more apt to rely on the expertise of the people on your team. And then sometimes when you have to bring somebody on board for a long or short term to help you grow through a particular phase of your organizational development and your growth. And what's your motivator? Ultimately, what is your motivator? It is your customer. It's the customer on the other side that is the motivator. If you need a motivator, why do I need to acknowledge these things? Because of your customers. What wouldn't you do for your customers? Your customers are feeding your organization. When your customers feed your organization, that is what allows you to feed your families. That is what allows you to feed your communities. That is what allows you to feed your church, all your social groups, everything within your community, all of culture is fed on the back of you getting over yourself, your ego, superego, id, all of it, to be able to overcome that, to become as good as you can be, to ensure that culture thrives and grows. So if you need a motivation, if you need something as a catalyst, think of all of those people who are the customers in your life. And with that motivation, if you approach it from that perspective, there's nothing you won't be able to achieve. There is nothing you won't be able to achieve. And in doing so, in doing all these things, not only are you inspiring and motivating people and protecting love, but we're hitting that good domino 3 to 5 times a day. We're doing these things, right, that uplift, inspire, and this transforms culture. And when we're transforming culture, we're transforming ourselves. And there's nothing that can compare to these things that you do in culture and for yourself and for those people who are part of your circle, because that circle ripples outwards to the rest of culture. So just wanted to talk to you a little bit today about capability. Don't be afraid of your incapability, right? Embrace it. Embrace your vulnerability. It makes you strong to be vulnerable in particular areas. Because when you acknowledge that, then you're strong to go forward from that place and from that position. All right, folks. I look forward to talking to you again. Hit like, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful day.